September 17th, 2024. If you will all stand with me, the mayor is going to lead us in a prayer and a pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for a wonderful day. Thank you for a wonderful city. Appreciate all you have provided for us. We ask that you watch over our staff, first responders, as they protect us and move us forward. We also have events coming to town, and we ask that you watch over the people as they travel here and showcase our city for us. We ask that all we do in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Avery.
Here.
Mendel.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Bishop.
Here. If anyone from the audience has something they would like to discuss that is not on the agenda, you can fill out one of the forms here on the front table, hand it in to Clerk Haley, and we will get to it later in the meeting. Mayor's report.
I got several things going on. I was able to attend a Habitat house dedication last week for Drusilla and Jamil. Pretty neat to see people that put in over 400 hours into a home, and it becomes a home. Drusilla's home burnt to the ground, so we brought her back up and did good. We attended the chamber lunch. I want to thank Christy and Casey and Anna for kind of organizing an HGTV discussion to see where we're going to be when they come back for our kind of wrap up next spring or early summer. It's kind of exciting to get to know that. And following up with that, next week, their Visit Sebring has organized a tourism luncheon at the chamber office. And Shelley Phelps is going to be here. She is the chamber exec for Wetumpka, which was the first HGTV hometown takeover city, and she's going to come and give us some insights. But also on Tuesday morning, that's Wednesday at noon, so if you want to go, you got to contact the chamber. Tuesday morning at the Civic Center Shelley is going to hold a kind of a town hall meeting with anybody that wants to come to see how they handled HGTV, the event, after event and all. So it's going to be kind of exciting. Also coming up next month, we have, or this end of this month, is the NAAC Freedom Fund Gala. If you want to attend, you can go online and find out where tickets are for that. And in October, we have a slurry of events, and I think I'll wait till October to get that so I don't take up so much of the time. Final thing that I have is anybody here blind? No? Anybody from the Lighthouse of the Blind? We have a proclamation that we do on an annual basis, and I usually show up. So I'm going to read the proclamation, please. Join me. Whereas the white cane or guide dog, which every low vision blind citizen of our city has the right to use, demonstrates and symbolizes his or her ability to work productively in a competitive employment. Whereas the white cane or guide dog, by allowing every low vision blind person to move freely and safely from place to place, makes it possible for him or her to participate fully in and contribute to our society. And whereas motorists should be aware that the law requires that low vision blind pedestrians carrying a white cane or using a guide dog shall be given the right of way. Whereas Florida law calls upon employers, both public and private, to be aware of and utilize employment skills of low vision blind citizens by recognizing their worth as individuals and their productive capacities as employees. And whereas through the public education and outreach efforts of the Lighthouse Vision Loss Center and Red Cane Support Group, the citizens in our community can look forward to a continued support of information and educational classes through the support groups and other opportunities for and greater acceptance of low vision blind persons in Highlands County community. And now therefore be it proclaimed, I, John Shute, Mayor of the City of Sebring, Highlands County, Florida, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 19th, 2024 as White Cane Awareness Day in Sebring, Highlands County, Florida, for the purpose of bringing a greater understanding of blindness and what it means to be a low vision blind, to the citizens of our community and all citizens to recognize the white cane and guide dog as instruments of safety and self-help for low vision blind pedestrians on our streets and highways. On October 19th, it's a Saturday, they will have an event downtown that starts at 9:30, and then they'll go down to the Civic Center and have they do this on an annual basis, kind of an educational process to go through. I need to ask the favor of the city council if we could approve the waiver of the Civic Center fees for this event.
Make a motion, we approve waiver of fees requested for rental of Civic Center as requested.
I second it.
Call the board, please.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendo.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
I've got one more item.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Go for it.
So, I know your time frame's gonna be 7:30 tonight, so I just want to make sure you make it, but we do have another big event this weekend. The Moto Surf is back. We appreciate the guys coming here, Matthew and Mike coming in, and I believe it's Mike, right? Martin, not Matthew, Martin. Get too many M's here going, so, but Moto Surf is, they're back again. It's a neat event to see a power surfboard and skateboard, so, but it's pretty cool. So we welcome you guys back and appreciate you coming and highlighting our community. So thank you for doing that. We'll see you this weekend. It starts, I think Friday is a series of events that go on, and then Saturday and Sunday. So, but appreciate it. And I'm sorry for messing up the name, Martin. So, but that's all I have.
Okay.
And they'll be up and presenting to us on the agenda. So,
Mr.
No
Paul,
report.
Ms. Mendel.
Good evening to everyone. Take a look downtown at the Sadie Kahn Park. It is continuing. It's pretty much finished now. Stephen Kramer, our Director of Public Works, and the Kahn family has done a great job. We got the new sod in, new little orange trees, and there's an orange sculpture there. Painted the benches orange, and it just looks great. So very happy for that. This week we have a recognition, remembrance of Major Tommy McGuire, one of Sebring's hometown fighter ace pilots. And so we'll be remembering him and some of our war heroes this week. Thanks.
Thank you. Josh.
No report.
Harrison.
September 11th, fire department in the county, they put on a event. They suited up full gear, walked up down the steps of the bleachers, the fireman's field. I was in jeans and a dress shirt, and I was sweating. I can't imagine doing what they did. Just a good in remembrance of everybody who lost their lives and the first responders sacrificing their lives. So thank you for fire department and the county for being a part of that. It's a great thing that you all did.
All right. Thank you. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions on the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Hold the board, please.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right. We have no old business. On to the new business. Item 10A. We have the comprehensive plan evaluation and appraisal. Up to present this is Miss Marissa Barnby.
Good evening. For the record, Marissa Barnby with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. There it goes. Thank you. So the city's comprehensive plan, which was adopted in 2010, we go through a process. The state requires an evaluation and appraisal of the comprehensive plan every 7 years. This helps set the foundation of the plan as we move forward, because the 2030 horizon is getting ready to sunset, so it'll carry through to 2050. It also looks at what is the progress the city has made towards reaching the goals that are established in your plan, making sure the plan is current with current requirements out of Florida statutes, and also addresses community concerns and goals. The evaluation and appraisal affidavit is due to the state on October 1st. The state requires you to send a letter and an affidavit which is signed by the mayor, saying that the city will complete evaluation and appraisal, report comprehensive plan updates, because like I said, the timeline is expiring and and that. So the notification package will include the letter and then a statement that we are having to do amendments because we need to extend the period out and address requirements that are in Florida statute. The affidavit, which is an example, or it's up there, it is signed by the mayor. It is basically, it says that we will, we're doing this consistent with Florida statutes, that the comp plan is being updated to extend the period, to make sure we are consistent with all the requirements of Florida statutes for our elements that are in our comprehensive plan, to ensure we have at least a 10-year period, and that we certify where we get our population projections from, what the source is, and the date those population projections were created. So this is a document that goes up. When it goes up to the state, they set the date for your year-based amendments to complete, which would be 1 year from when they receive that document. So this is essentially a housekeeping document that will keep you consistent with the state's requirement for your evaluation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions? No? Anyone from the public? Can't imagine that they do. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the EAR affidavit and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second it.
Hold the board, please.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Up next is item 10B. We have a couple people who are going to come up and talk to us about the Moto Surf event. First up is Miss Casey Hart.
Hi, good evening, everyone. For the record, Casey Hart with the Highlands County Tourist Development Council. We are super excited to have, as Mayor Shoup mentioned, Moto Surf back. Martin and I just recollected, it's the 4th year that they've been coming here, and he reminded me in 2021, the travel restrictions were not great, and they're traveling from the Czech Republic, so we had to work a lot of magic just to get the guys here, but we got them here, and we love the event. One of the things I did want to mention they've been doing for the past couple years is a community event the Thursday before from 3 to 7 p.m. Anyone from the community can come try the boards for free. It's been great. I know last year a lot of kids from the after school spot or after school program came by and had a really good time trying the boards. And I think that last year Martin was out there on his birthday for about 6 hours taking people on the board. So we're so excited to have them here. The role that we play as the TDC is that we actually pay for the advertising component. So the show is recorded, and then there's a post show that airs on CBS Sports. There's actually 2 different airings. It's a 30-minute recap show, and we pay for that component of it. So it gives great exposure not only for the actual event, but also for Sebring, the downtown, everything that we're kind of doing and bringing to life here. We also love this event because we are home. We are the birthplace of endurance racing in Sebring. So what we're growing to become is not just racing on a racetrack, but we're racing in the water. We're racing bicycles. We're racing all different kinds of things. So it's really growing as being known as a racing destination, which I think is really important to our identity. So with that, I'm going to let Martin and Matthew come up and tell you more about the growing sport of moto surf. We're really excited to see it grow to something that's like on the verge of becoming an Olympic sport. But I'll let them take it over and tell you all about it. So thank you.
And very good evening, everybody. Thank you, Casey. Thank you very much. It's been great working with you and with the city of Sebring for the last 4 years and for bringing MotoSurf here. And it's great to come back and to say a couple of words about where the MotoSurf has come in the last 4 years. And I would start probably with the thing that MotoSurf is now officially recognized under the International Olympic Committee and is fully structured under the UIM, which is the International Powerboating Federation. And that very soon it will be coming to one very, very special event, which is bringing us even closer to our big dream, which is Olympic Games. And Matt will tell you a bit more, just to introduce what we are doing about and for the organization of these motorized surfboard racing. I work as a promoter of the World Championship and as the competition manager for the World Games, and Matthew is the sports development manager for our sport. So thank you very much for having the possibility of being here and for presenting MotoSurf as the sport coming to beautiful Sebring.
Before we jump to the big event which is ahead of us next year, I would also like to say that MotoSurf is a complex platform for everyone, for every age, for every gender. We race in 7 different classes: men, women, juniors, boys and girls. We also have 100% fully electric racing class, and our brand new not discipline but class is masters, which means that it is for people that are 40 plus years old. So also people in this age group that are still hungry to race, they can enjoy their own age group, and they don't have to fight with the teenagers, right? And this complexity actually brought us to a really big event, which we are really glad about, and this is the World Games. World Games, as I like to describe it, is like an Olympics for non-Olympic sports. Even though they are already on the next one, there are already like 7 sports that are part of the Olympics as well, which means that it's also that it shows that it really is, or the sports are really able to make it to the Olympics, which is also our goal with Martin to make it. And MotoSurf will be actually like one of the first, or even like the first ever motorized discipline at the Olympics. What actually brought us there, or why we can be at the World Games? We are consistently trying to follow the sustainability approach. We race with certified biofuels, and we also, as I said, we also have the 100% fully electric race class. We're also trying to reduce our carbon footprint by planting trees. So for every board produced, we are planting trees to the forest. The engines have all kind of certifications like APA, CE, CARB, and we also try to do like the community outreach. So we work with the community, same as Casey mentioned, that what we do on first day before the MotoSurf Games event. We invite the communities in the cities. We let them try the boards, try the sport, maybe grow with the sport with it as well. And yeah, also what I wanted to say is we work with the youngsters, because without them it wouldn't be really possible to make it happen. We plan juniors training programs all around the world. What we did here in the US last year was a training program for juniors, where we let the juniors use the boards for free during the whole season. They could basically race the MotoSurf Games season without any fundings, and actually 2 of them already made it to the World Championship. So, and they will be trying to get their spot at the World Games next year. Martin, do you want to add something?
Yes, it's always, when we speak about the sustainability, it's always all about, let's say, the political correctness, about biofuels, reducing carbon fiber footprint, and so on. So for us, the real sustainability and the real approach for the future is just the youngsters. It's all about the youngsters. It's all about the families. It's all about the people that can afford paying and bringing people and bringing their kids to the sport, enjoying the sport, and being able to finance it. That's the future for any sport. I always say that without athletes and without families and without the juniors, none of the Olympic Games would ever exist. So that's where we need to be heading, and that's where we need to support, especially the young generation and then the families, of course, to be able to practice the sport. Then all the biofuels, electrics, and all that, it's nice. It's nice for promotion. It's nice for marketing, but we love the smiling faces of the young kids and being with MotoSurf. That's the best thing what we can do. Maybe we can have a bit of the taste of MotoSurf, how it looks when we start racing on the water.
enjoyment on the scenic Lake Jackson. This racing weekend features diverse categories, including the men's pro division, a hobby class, a women's group, and a junior category. Fearless athletes convene here to push the boundaries of motorized surfboards, delivering an adrenaline-pumping spectacle. So here at the Motor Surf America race, we have multiple classes. We have the pro class, we have the hobby class, we have women's, and juniors. So whether you've been riding 5 years or you've been riding 20 days, come out, ride in your paddleboard, feel safe, have fun, meet a bunch of cool people, and enjoy the weekend.
So, Jesser is pure freedom on the water. It is a personal watercraft that you pick up with your 2 hands, drop it into this water you want, throw on some gas, and have a great time. You get to go where you want, when you want. There's no spotter, there's no driver. All you need is some gas. And honestly, the sport that you progress to get better at, you're not going to get bored of it. You become majorly addicted, and the variety of the sport is just endless.
Sebring is situated around Lake Jackson, with the historic downtown district located right on the waterfront. Thanks to its Florida scrub landscape, Lake Jackson boasts natural white sandy beaches and remains a popular destination for boating and swimming. Sebring is also renowned as the host of the Sebring International Raceway, an annual WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race that draws fans and teams from across the globe.
Sebring is home of Sebring International Raceway and the very prestigious 12-hour cruise. So we are known as a racing destination. So to bring more events for racing, such as MotoSurf here, it's in our blood. It's what we love. We embrace these racing events, and we like to see more familiarity.
Over the span of 3 days, the event encompassed 3 heats of racing for each category, culminating in a final pair of races where triple points were up for grabs. Additionally, there was an electrifying Seabot race with electric power and a jet surf tube fun race designed to provide entertainment.
That was awesome. And thank you for the plug for beautiful Sebring.
Thank you. Thank you for, well, you know, it's, we race all over the world. We race in Saudi Arabia, we race in Emirates, we race all over Europe. But we always discuss internally the Sebring and the Civic Center and the Lake Jackson where we race. It's like tailor-made place for us. It can fit in there. We can build the course around the pier. There's the Civic Center. It's just a wonderful place. And of course, we speak about the World Games and about the World Championships and so, but without the Continental Championships and without the National Championships, it would never exist. That's why we are so happy that we can build the base of the National Championships, Continental Championships, bring the people into the sport. We can work with them. We can let them improve up to the World Championship level, and then to organize the big events there. But it's super important for us to make racing in America, Europe, Asia, and then to bring everybody at one place and to be able to showcase our sport at the World Games, which is the very top. So thank you very much for being our great help in building MotoSurf, and then we can see where we brought MotoSurf after just a couple of years of the race event organization.
Yes.
Wow. Awesome.
It's even more interesting that the last edition of the World Games was organized in the United States. The next edition next year is coming to China, and we will be featured among all these big sports like triathlon, rowing, karate, bowling, and all these sports, which makes us super proud. So
Well, thank you for coming.
Definitely.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Thank you for coming back.
It's wonderful.
We would also like to again to invite you all to come to see us and to experience what we bring here to see the racing, to actually see the fastest riders in the US. And also, if you would like to come on Thursday and maybe try the boards, we got one secret tip on 2 people that we would like to challenge that might be able to do it. Councilman Havery and Councilman Stewart.
They're the only ones that fit in the weight class.
The only ones that can get out of the water.
We start at 3 p.m. on Thursday.
I will try and be there.
Yeah, same.
For
we
sure.
have we have all the flying vests, helmets, board, everything will be ready. So
Do you have balance? Can I borrow that with somebody?
we have plenty of
We actually do have. We have like a jet surf cube. We
What?
call it like a
Training
Training
wheels.
wheels?
Oh, that's too
I
funny.
might need that.
free belts.
I need a couple sets.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
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 Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank
Thank you,
Thursday.
Casey.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is item 10C. The astute Greg Griffin. He's going to talk to us about the current conditions of Lake Jackson, which is a little bit ironic because they came here from Lake Jackson.
Actually, it's a great lead in.
Yeah.
How beautiful the lake is or was. Greg Griffin, Bay Consulting Central Florida Aquatics, and your contract building official. So 2 parts for tonight's conversation. First part is we request to look into managing the vegetation, mainly the tree islands that are on Lake Jackson, the vegetation that's in between those, and Fish and Wildlife has green-lighted that, so we'll go ahead and manage that. Expected chemical costs, we have the contract with the city, so expected chemical costs could be somewhere around $2,500 for multiple treatments. We'll do that over the course of the next few months if council approves. So, Scott, do you want to take action on that first and then go into the final week conversation, or do you want to do everything?
We can take official action, but I think it's our expectation that it does get done, but if council feels more comfortable giving instruction to make sure it gets done,
Doesn't matter.
we can take a motion.
I have a question. Is that not, is Lake Jackson, because it's in the city, it's our responsibility, it's not part of the county rotation? Okay.
We want to manage it.
The county has an invasive plant management program, so they're going to spray hydrilla, hyacinth, water lettuce, things that are all regulated invasive species. They aren't going to manage necessarily native species, and they aren't going to manage species that aren't hyper invasive. You know,
Got
so
it.
the exotics are what they're looking for, the exotic and invasives, but not anything that's generally, you know, the areas between the tree islands. You've got Carolina willow, which was the primary nesting habitat the Fish and Wildlife wanted to save when we did that restoration back in 2008. The vegetation that we're looking at managing is primarily Brazilian pepper and primrose willow. There's some small deciduous and grassy vegetation that grows under that will also spray out. It's just to create viewports for Highway 27. It'll enhance the view of the lake.
Got it.
And we're happy to do that. So the county manages mostly in-water stuff.
Understood. Do we need to take action on this, or we just gonna say do it? Okay.
Do it.
I'll instruct staff to execute the spraying.
No objection to that.
No objection. I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And as I understand from talking with our city administrator, the herbicides and all and chemicals and different things are not going to damage the lake at all and have a minimum effect on the fish and everything.
Yeah, so all the herbicides that will be used are regulated, and they're all regulated in terms of being able to be utilized in water environment or in the marine environment. So they go through various degrees of testing. It takes years for permits to come to, or for herbicides to come to the market and get an actual permit for use. They test it for what the maximum quantity or what the minimum quantity is that would cause damage to both vertebrates and invertebrates while looking at the impact on vegetation. These have been proven. They're commonplace herbicides that can be utilized throughout the state and aquatic environments.
Good to know.
All right, next up.
Next up, our favorite topic. I want to start and preface by stating that aquatic vegetation is critical to the health of any lake, any water body. There's a lot of very good vegetation in Lake Jackson. Of late, we've seen a very, very, very large grow out of a species called Illinois pondweed. It's my understanding Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, in coordination with Highlands County Natural Resources, planted stems of Illinois pondweed around the lake. And I've seen it previously prior to Hurricane Irma. There was a stand of pondweed that was growing on the backside of Don Jose's, but Irma did a pretty good job of wiping the entire lake clean of most vegetation and putting it on Lakeview Drive or 27 or wherever it was. Some of this may be native stems, but there's certainly a large amount. The growing season this year was exacerbated by a few things. For one, we had an extended drought period, so water levels were lower than they would have been historically. The presence of that vegetation, the presence of it in shallow water where it had higher than normal temperatures, water temperatures were up earlier this year. We started seeing algae at an earlier period. That coupled with extended daylight hours as you go into the growing season, things grow better. And then we had, of course, a series of strong rains, which flushed a ton of nutrients into the water. So these are the nitrates and phosphates, which aquatic plants are meant to manage, and they do a great job keeping the lake in balance. The problem is these shallow areas where the Illinois pondweed had taken seed. It was the perfect environment for what I would call somewhat of a perfect storm, and it has exploded on the lake. We've probably gone from, I would say, less than an acre of pondweed within the last 6 months, or even I would be able to say a year, to tens of acres at this point. You can see it most prevalently if you drive starting at Veterans Beach and head towards Don Jose on a calm morning. If you look out, you'll see little brown patches that are kind of growing in the sandy areas. That's all pondweed. My concern with Illinois pondweed for Lake Jackson is about 10-15 years ago, they had introduced it to Lake June for nutrient management. It grew at an extraordinary rate, to the point where FWC had several town hall meetings. They brought folks in. They decided to spray it. The spray didn't work fast enough because it grows in excessively deep areas. I mean, Illinois pondweed can top out in as deep as 25 feet of water. Without proper management, it started to take the lake over. Some folks got a hold of legislators in Tallahassee. Next thing you know, carp were introduced to the lake. The problem with carp being introduced is carp are going to eat the food that's most easily digested first. Your carp, your nitella, your other algal type species, which are easily digested. They move from that to the next species up, which are your grasses, and finally they get to the target species, which is pondweed. The problem with that is you have a lot of collateral damage from carp, and you end up killing a lot of really beneficial plants before you can even get to the point of managing the plants that are causing the issue. My concern for Lake Jackson at the rate in which it's growing is that we're going to experience another Lake June type issue. I spent a lot of time in the air, and 15-20 years ago I used to fly over Lake June. It looks like Lake Jackson does today. It's a nice clear lake. If you look at Lake Jackson or Lake June from the air today, it's got a very notable green hue to it. There's a pretty significant algal growth going on, driven largely by nutrient loading in the lake. So again, that vegetation in the lake is absolutely critical. In my opinion, there are species that can be more easily managed that can accomplish the same task. So recommendation, and I think you may have some people here that are going to speak to it. My recommendation would be to set up a workshop with Highlands County Natural Resources and Fish and Wildlife, so that we can have a discussion to at least see what their management plan is for this species, so that we make sure we do not end up with a situation similar to Lake June, where we have issues with aquatic plants taking over this area. And
I'll give a good example. I mean, behind my house, we have a significant overgrowth. The cost for me to manage the species just behind my house is close to $10,000 for the chemical. This is something that wasn't there a few years ago. So the cost across the board for private citizens to manage the species is going to be very expensive because it's granular, and the efficacy of the herbicides at this point is not as good as it should be. I mean, it's going to take multiple treatments, and again, it's very costly.
Anybody from council have any questions for Greg?
So you're recommending the herbicide is the way to go?
I would
in your
recommend
view?
I would recommend setting up a workshop with Fish and Wildlife so that we can discuss a management plan for the species in the lake. I have concern that we're going to end up in the same situation that they wound up with in Lake June. Now, I'll tell you this, my son fishes on the high school bass team, and we fished Lake June last weekend, and we fished it a few weekends before. The Illinois pondweed is incredibly healthy in that lake. It is everywhere, and it's a pretty solid stand. So the management, the carp in that lake, when we saw one, was probably 15 pounds, and he may have made some dent on pondweed, but it's very impressive.
Greg, what do you think the timeline is until action needs to happen?
Most of the pondweed that you can see, you can't see it top down in deep water. There's a sandbar that runs around the ring of the lake. 99% of that at this point is trapped inside, so between the sandbar and the shoreline. It's relatively easy to treat there. You're looking at 20 pounds of herbicide per acre foot. So if you think about it, you have it in 3 acres, you're going to put you have in 3 feet of water, you're going to put 60 pounds of herbicide, actual active ingredient, in that 3 acre area. If you have it in 25 feet of water, you have to again take that 20 pounds per acre and multiply by 25. So the cost goes up exponentially. The amount of herbicide you have to use goes up exponentially. My biggest concern is we do have a lot of good native vegetation on the lake. As this particular species intermixes with spatterdock and bulrush and other quality species, you get what's called collateral damage. So as you spray the target species, you end up killing the species that are around it. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have a healthy stand of vegetation in the lake.
Boy, really appreciate your work on this to keep our lake beautiful.
What's the timeline we're getting with the FWC?
We'd like to, I would recommend if we can set up a workshop in the evening hours, because I know there are folks that live on the lake that would be interested sometime in October if that works for.
I was going to say, how fast can we move on it?
That'll be up. So Aries is the branch of Fish and Wildlife that's responsible for habitat restoration. They're really going to end up driving the boat on this. They planted the species and introduced it. It's really going to be up to them to determine what the management plan is. I think the more public input you have, the better chance you're going to get of a more aggressive management. Like I say, my concern, if you go to Dinner Lake, it's another local lake. That lake has pondweed that's topped out 20 plus feet of water, and we have some clients on Dinner Lake that spend a tremendous amount of money annually to keep a small swim area open. I mean, there are certain areas, these sandy bottom lakes, it grows very aggressively.
So the kill off of the pondweed, does that make our the body more mucky and all in the lake?
The killing off the species as it sits now should not increase significantly the amount of what we'll call detritus or organic material that settles on the bottom. Sunlight will break that down in time. Obviously, anytime you kill vegetative material, you're going to end up with some of it break on the bottom. I don't know that it would be a notable difference from what we see at present.
Yeah, I was just wondering because we really don't have an option. We need to manage this. So
that would be my expectation.
Yeah.
You know, I think Fish and Wildlife's going to look at it and probably say, "Wow, we had great success here," but sometimes that success is a little too great. I think that's what we're going to experience in Shoal.
So, Greg, you said it for Lake June and winter, it took multiple community workshops and then legislators being contacted. Is it because FWC was dug in on it, or?
I think to a degree.
And
I
that's
think,
what you're trying to get ahead of here?
Yeah, and I think what we're experiencing, we work with Fish and Wildlife on a lot of projects. I don't want to in any way, shape, or form throw anybody under the bus or get in any type of confrontational situation. I think what's transpired is there's been per se a changing of the guard. A lot of younger folks who may not have the experience or have have the knowledge of what transpired on Lake June, that are making some of the decisions for vegetation introduction into some of these water bodies. And, you know, with that, I think that may be where we're at. It's somewhat presumptive on my part, but I'm concerned that we took the same general type of water body and we put the same species that was problematic and took that same species and introduced it into a similar water body, which at the rate in which it's growing is going to have a similar outcome.
Maybe you two can give us your own report after you write the.
I mean, I've seen this. You know,
And if any of you guys want to go out and look at it, I'm happy to take that.
I didn't know what this stuff was, but I have a friend who lives on that stretch between Veterans Beach and Don Jose's, and his little beach is covered in it.
Really?
Yeah. Little section near my house. I'm not on the lake, but
Right.
I have a walkable area. I can see that stuff all the time.
It is growing very aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Come on up. Tell us who you are.
My name is Danny Copeland. First of all, I want to thank him for bringing this up because I've been watching it progress. It's growing at an alarming rate. And if you don't know what topped out means, that means it's growing from the bottom of the soil to the top, and you can see it sticking out of the water. So as you ride along, you'll be able to see it. I've been a resident for 45 years. I actually work for Invasive Plant Management for Highlands County. So I'm kind of on the other side of this coin telling you it needs to be addressed. I was out there Sunday riding around. I'll be glad to take the whole crew of you on a pontoon and take you for a ride out there and show you. You'll be shocked at how fast this is growing.
Wow.
It needs to be addressed. And thank God for somebody like him that's taking the lead on it. And please listen to him.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No?
Actually, Carl on the spot, I'd like to call him up for a minute. Carl, you mind joining us? Carl manages each month he does quality. I'm gonna make him
Carl Poole.
He was taking a nap.
Sorry, Carl, I didn't mean to wake you up. The premise for introduction of species to Lake June was nutrient management, water quality issues. Carl's been doing water quality sampling on Lake Jackson. He does it every month. He can tell you more about it. He's been doing it for what, 10 years now or more? Yeah, he's been doing it for quite a while. Tell about what you do.
There's a bunch of volunteers, people live on the lakes, they care about the lakes, and once a month we go out and get water samples, and we send them, take them down to the Agri-Civic Center, and they are sent to the University of Florida, and they're analyzed, and there's reports. From that, they let us know how is the water quality of your lake doing, and we get reports. I've given Scott and the mayor some copies of the reports, and the good news is the quality of Lake Jackson is actually better than it used to be. Leonard and I can tell you, when we were in 8th grade in 1963, our PE class walked from what's now the middle school down to the Civic Center and changed into our swimming suits, and we had PE in Lake Jackson. And I recall the slime fights we had down there. You get a water, go down, get a water slime, throw it against your buddy's head, and that was what we did for fun. That was PE in 8th grade, 1963. We don't have that slime on Lake Jackson as we used to. But the water quality is, give you a real simple summary. One of the things we do is there's an 8-inch white disc called a Secchi disc. That's the name of the guy that invented it. It's just a white piece of plastic, and you let it down in the water. And then you record how far it goes before it goes out of sight. And the further down you can see it, the clearer the lake. Lake Jackson's Secchi depth last month was a little right at 10 feet. That disc I could see at 10 foot in depth. Lake June and Lake Placid, their Secchi depths are under 3 feet. Lake's about the same size as Lake Jackson. Theirs go out of sight way faster. And the reason is they have more algae in the lakes. Algae is a microscopic plant, and it needs 3 things to grow. It needs water, we got a lot of water, it needs sunlight, and it needs fertilizer. That fertilizer part is where we come in as people. If we don't put fertilizer in the lake, then the algae levels will be down, way down. If you have a lot of runoff and there's a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus that go into the lake, then you got the fertilizer, you got the water, and you got the sunlight, and algae grows. So the good news is things that over the last 30, 40 years that have been happening around Lake Jackson are right. And the water quality's not going down, but
Good.
getting better.
Just out of my own curiosity, what would the Secchi depth be of a Lake Denton or Lake Isis?
Lake Denton or Isis, they'll be in the neighborhood of 30 feet or so.
Okay.
Now, I've been swimming and scuba diving down a marathon out there, and I could see a disc that would be 80 foot deep.
Mm-hmm.
It can get that clear.
Okay.
But Lake Denton, it would be 25 feet or so.
Okay.
But Lake Jackson, for a 3,000
Right.
acre lake, it has good water quality and it's not going down. And so having and managing the weeds is important. They're aquatic vegetation, but the rest of us call it weeds. We don't want them, we call weeds. And we had that problem in Dinner Lake, where Illinois pondweed was topped out, and it was messing up their propellers in the boats, and we got it under control, and I don't think we have that big of a problem now. But it's one of those plants that'll come in, and you have to deal with it, or it can be a real big mess. But it's not because we have really poor water quality. The water quality is not bad.
You know, I'm just so grateful to hear that our water quality's good, because I've noticed since we retired back to Sebring, I'm a little bit older than you guys. I remember going swimming, and my parents always put alcohol in my ears when we came out, and I still do that now. But I noticed that when we came back 10 years ago to retire here, amongst your friends and all, people would say the water wasn't as clean as it used to be. So I'm so grateful to hear we have a good quality water.
If you need copies of the report that shows the Secchi depths over here, it shows the nitrogen levels, the phosphorus levels, the Secchi depths. We have that. That's been documented. Water quality samples have been taken on Lake Jackson for at least the last 30 years, and I've done them for about the last 15 myself. Every month, water quality, and I think water quality samples were being taken on Little Lake Jackson. But I can tell you the water quality on Little Lake Jackson is better than it was 10 years ago. Used to the Secchi depths over there were about 3 foot. Now they're being 5 or 6 foot.
Wonderful.
And so the closing of one of the golf courses may have had something to do with that, because you don't have the runoff going in there. Well, runoff from golf courses are loaded with fertilizer, and fertilizer and water and sunlight grows plants. So there's
Thank you.
some good advice on that.
Carl,
Thank you
before
for
you
keeping
leave,
an eye on it.
Carl organizes a Lake Jackson cleanup, and there's one coming up. Is it in
I'll
October?
just approve the council.
Yeah, it
approved
was on our
tonight.
consent agenda.
So I'm just,
Yeah, we're hoping you can
Just
come
wanna
out.
announce it.
It's a fun day. We'll have a lot of boats. The Rotary Club has sponsored it. I think this is like our 6th or 7th year in a row. We come out Saturday morning from 8 o'clock till noon.
And the date?
It's on your agenda, October 26th, I believe was the date
I
you
think so.
approved.
Okay.
And so we have a good time,
Thank
and
you.
we'll get 2 or 3 dumpsters full of stuff that
Wow.
we take out of the lake, and it's that helps. That really isn't causing a lot of the really good water quality, but it certainly does help getting that junk out of the lake. So,
do a good job, and appreciate you doing that. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I think at this time I'll just instruct Greg and staff to try and get a meeting on the calendar.
We need to act quickly on
Yeah.
this.
I don't know what their availability is, but we're usually pretty available. All right. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Carl, thank you. No business from the audience tonight. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything?
Nothing specifically under my business.
Okay. All right. Mr. Natelick.
So got a couple items. One, project report. Do you have any questions on the project report itself?
No, sir. I do not. Anyone else? No. Okay.
And then I've got another item. I amended the agenda this afternoon. And this is a request that came from the Community Redevelopment Agency. And and it's for an easement for the Board of Trade building, which is the building that you own and they lease on the circle at 309 Circle Park Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking for a utility easement that would be underground that would enable the old Shoemaker building at 305 Circle Park Drive to connect to utilities that are in the right of way, so water, sewer, gas. And we're seeking approval of staff working with the city attorney and CRA to draft a suitable easement for approval by council at a future meeting.
Okay. Does anyone from council have any questions on this?
That building was never hooked to the sewer. Is it here?
So I don't know what type of connection it has to the sewer right now. I really don't. But they'll be looking to potentially, and there are different ways to do this, as I understand, but potentially a grease trap. So it would be a grease trap that would be accessible from the roadway itself, if you will, but it would be a grease trap on the ground. If that's how they choose to do it, I also understand if you need grease traps under sinks and stuff like that. So that's one of the sewer components. It doesn't currently have gas. My recollection right off, maybe I'm wrong, but some of those services are currently getting supplied through the current CRA office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, this would enable separate connections.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
And I know you've talked to me a little bit, but as I've told you, Scott, I've had several people call me about the view from 27 of our lake because of vegetation and all. And you've told me, where is that? Is that in this? About managing some of the vegetation, not that has to do with the health of the lake.
That was in Greg's agenda.
That was in Greg's.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure that people heard that because I've been getting a lot of phone calls.
Right.
So we're working on that.
Correct.
Having the view look better and some of that cut back that doesn't interfere with the health of the lake or the bird population. We are working on doing that.
Okay. We gave Greg instruction to start spraying the bank next to 27.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But
but
now
it
we're talking
also,
about the CRA.
some of the bigger bushes and plants need to kind of come out.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but we're looking at all that's what I'm getting at.
Okay. Any other questions on the CRA easement? Any comments from the public? Come on up, sir.
I believe you pretty much addressed what we're going after.
We all know who you are, but tell us your name.
Mac gentleman, Chef Mac, as some of you might know me as. I am the one who is leasing the 305 property from the CRA, and we are investing in the reconstruction of it, which are underway right now, doing all that. What we're needing is 10 feet of easement for, like you said, the plumbing, sewage, grease trap, electric. That building was and is tapped into the CRA building, so we have no existing back. We were under the. We thought that we had 10 feet. They had mapped out an area that we presumed was what we could do. That's what we proceeded forward with rehabilitating this building. So what we're trying to do is get that easement so we can tap in. We're getting a big hood system thrown in this week, so it's moving forward. Just need that back area to tie into.
We're glad to hear
and
it.
start dining at a restaurant.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve staff working on the city attorney, with the city attorney and the CRA to draft a suitable easement for approval by the council at a future meeting.
Second.
Hold the board.
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Anything else?
One more item.
Okay.
tennis courts next door.
Mhm.
You can see we removed the fence, we have cones surrounding it. We're proposing to just demo the rest of that court. That's okay with council.
Demo it, ripping up the asphalt and making it grass, or
Is there a
whatever
need,
we. Go ahead.
Is there a need to demo it? Can you just leave it? We're in theory just gonna
So-
park on it, right? Overflow.
Right now, we've got several holes around the outside of it. Maybe we can fill all that in. If that's what you prefer.
It'll be cheaper.
I.
He's not here.
Steve's not here, so I was gonna ask him whether we were planning to do it in-house, so. If we do it in-house, I think it's gonna cost us that much.
The demo you're talking about.
But, you know,
You gotta mow it.
well, correct, but it doesn't look real good right now, so.
Yeah, we ought to fix it then.
Well, are you-
That'll look good.
is the demo gonna include sodding it as well then and
I think
irrigating
we'd
it?
have to sod it. And, up to you all. You want us to do some further research?
I can't imagine that a couple pallets of Bahia is going to cost much, and that
Oh,
we're going to do
buddy.
it in house.
Well, you got to irrigate it then too.
You don't have to irrigate Bahia.
Okay.
I think we ought to look into.
Yeah. Do me, since Steve isn't here, why don't we meet with him, find out if there's even access to irrigation around there. I would like to see it irrigated just because in March or February or January through June, it's going to look like worse than it is now.
Yeah, we can probably push it.
So if we could look and see
Okay.
what the options are, if he can dig it up with a front end loader, I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Add another
There's no
zone-
base under it.
Add
or
another
anything.
zone to City Hall.
What's that?
Add another irrigation zone to City Hall.
Take more than one.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to take a couple.
So you want more research, then bring it back to council, bring it back to council?
Yes. Hopefully by next meeting, we can get that. All right. Anything else?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Haley,
Council needs to approve the payment of the bills, please.
Second.
pull the board.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Rendell.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
And just one more thing, announcing the budget public hearing, the second and final one tomorrow night at 5:15.
Yep. And Josh, you're driving the bus tomorrow night.